really excited to be joined on the stage, and I know it's not politically correct to say, but with two beautiful women, both of which love their state as well, and they want to be your next labor commissioner. First off, I want to introduce Representative Leslie Osborne. Representative Osborne.
Hello, my name is Leslie Osborne, and I'm running for your state labor commissioner. I currently serve in the Oklahoma House of Representatives. Prior to that, I owned my own business selling heavy-duty truck parts for 22 years in Tuttle, Oklahoma. My time in the legislature, I've served as the first female ever elected to be Judiciary Chair and the first Republican female to ever be the House Appropriations Chair. Two of the bills that were the most important to me that we got served in my tenure were when Senator Anthony Sykes and I 5 years ago ran a bill to reform our state workers' compensation system. Prior to that, when someone was injured on the job, they lawyered up. It was expensive for businesses, and it didn't help injured workers get back to their pre-injury health. Senator Sykes and I ran the bill that changed us from a judicial to an administrative system. In the time since we've done that, it's been very beneficial to injured workers. They're getting back on the job, back to their normal lives much quicker, but we've also lowered rates at an average of 40% to businesses all across the state. Another thing that I worked on was something that Todd mentioned, and that's criminal justice reform. We worked on a public-private partnership with something in Tulsa called Women in Recovery. Oklahoma has the highest rate of incarcerated women in the nation. But that's not because we have the worst women. It's because of the way our system works. What we did was work with the Tulsa District Attorney's Office to divert up to 100 women a year from hard time into a deep therapy, counseling type situation where they get their GEDs, job training, back with their children. It's been highly successful. I also have a 100% pro-life voting record and pro-Second Amendment voting record, lifetime member of the NRA. So what does a labor commissioner do? I believe it's really two things. They keep employees, the labor force, and citizens across the state safe. So they have a team that goes out and they go to individual businesses and say, we'd like to come in and do a free safety inspection to make sure you're keeping your employees safe. That's not something that most states do. By doing that, we have one really good statistic in the state of Oklahoma. Only 3.5 out of every 100 people are injured on the job a year. The national average is almost double that. Another thing that we do is we go around and make sure that somebody that is certified is checking every boiler, amusement park ride, person that's doing natural gas conversions on your vehicles, making sure that somebody that's certified is checking those things once a year to keep our citizens safe and our employees from all different businesses. But one thing I'd like to up the ante on, and Governor Frank Keating gave me this idea right before I decided to file my SO1. He said that when he was governor, he wanted to appreciate the people in our existing businesses. We talk about bringing in new industry and new jobs all the time, diversifying the economy, and we absolutely need to do that. But what about the people out there in all 77 counties who are already providing jobs, putting themselves out there, and providing employment to people all across the nation, or all across the state? So he would say, when I'm headed to Guyman, find a business for me on the way and don't tell them we're coming. He'd walk in and say, hello, I'm Governor Frank Keating. Thank you for providing jobs for Oklahomans. I'd love to see the labor commissioner, when they're out doing these free safety inspections, also say, thank you for having a business Oklahoma. How do we keep you and how do we grow you? Are your regulations onerous? What about tax code, tax credits, licensing reform? What about workforce development? Let me tell you, we will go back to the Capitol and work for you. So thank you all for coming out on your Saturday morning to vet people for our Republican primaries. I'd appreciate your support on June 26th.
Thank you, Leslie. And just a reminder, as the candidates are up here speaking, I know there are a lot of meet and greets going on, but just make sure you keep it to a low volume so that people are able to hear our speakers. Next up, this lady's husband served as our labor commissioner for some time. she's no stranger to that office. She, like Representative Osborne, have become friends of mine over the last year, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you somebody that you already know, just like you know Leslie from her service to Oklahoma, and that is Cathy Costello.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Cathy Costello, and I would be honored and privileged to be your next Oklahoma State Labor Commissioner. I was married to the love of my life, Mark Costello, for nearly 34 years, and we raised 5 children in Edmond, Oklahoma. Many of you already know that we tragically lost Mark 2.5 years ago at the hands of our mentally ill son, who has suffered with schizophrenia for 10 years. He took my husband's life in front of me in a restaurant and died in my arms. So, why should I be your labor commissioner? I do not expect your vote, nor would I ask for your vote based on the tragedy of my past. I am asking for your vote because of my vision for the future. And my friends, there is a great deal more to my past than my tragedy. The Labor Commissioner has a constitutional duty per Title 40 to foster, promote, and develop the welfare of the wage earner and the employer, to keep the wage earner safe in the workplace, to advance opportunities for profitable employment, and to carry out the laws of the legislature. My worthy opponent, Representative Osborne, referred to the workers' compensation bill. And yes, I'm grateful that Ms. Osborne did have the bill heard. Running a bill simply means you allow a bill to be heard. But I want you to know that it was the efforts of Mark and Cathy Costello who championed for 3 years the workers' compensation. You see, Mark and I started a 501c3 called Workers' Comp, Not Lawyers' Comp. It was Mark Costello who went to Arkansas and sat down with Tyson and sat down with Walmart and the compensation commissioners there to bring back the administrative system here, to knock out the system for the past, since 1948 under Gene Stein. And in fact, in this room today, the man who actually authored and crafted the bill was Senator Bingman. So our hats off to Mark Costello for championing for 3 years the workers' compensation program, which now has brought a savings of $500 million to this state and lowered premiums by 62.7%. And I agree with my worthy opponent. We should be thanking businesses, and Mark Costello agreed with that, and that's why he started the Entrepreneurial Excellence in Oklahoma Award. At the time of his death, he had actually given this award to 38 people. And on April 1st of 2016, Governor Mary Fallin and the interim commissioner, Melissa Houston, and I were able to present the brandly new name Mark Costello Entrepreneurial and Excellence Award to Hideaway Pizza. And we were able to present that together, and that was a great honor. Yesterday, I visited Advantage Air Conditioning. We were in, where were we yesterday? Muskogee. I've been to so many places I can't remember. I walked in the door, and there on the wall, the owner, Dan, showed me the Entrepreneurial Excellence Award with a note from my husband. So the idea of thinking business is a great idea. We do need to think business, and we do need to find out what their challenges were. I was able to ask them how the new workers' compensation program had impacted them. I was able to ask them about how many employees they have and what their challenges and successes were. So that was a great event for us. I have run businesses for 40 plus years with my husband, international and domestic businesses. Mark and I founded 8 businesses in 6 industries around the world. I am still running some of those businesses today, and you know what that's taught me? I know what the struggles of an employer are. I know what it is like to reach into my own pocket and make payroll when we've had a rough year. You need a labor commissioner who will be user-friendly and sensitive to the challenges of business, because the economy, the businesses provide 85% of the jobs in this state, and I have that experience. I also have leadership experience. How do I have that experience? 10 weeks after the death of my husband, I had a decision to make. I could go to bed, quit living, pull the covers over my head. Instead, I chose to be productive. I chose to stand up for Oklahomans and go to work for Oklahoma because I was instrumental in passing a major piece of legislation called the Labor Commissioner Mark Costello Assisted Outpatient Treatment Bill. And we now have 18 people that have qualified for that bill because I was able to work with legislators in Washington, D.C. to obtain a $2 million grant to help people in an ongoing mental health crisis. I have a national platform. I've spoken with Donald Trump in person, and I have spoken to Patrick Kennedy in person. And my friends, you can't get any farther to the right or the left than those two. But we had a common goal to improve the lives of Oklahomans and Americans. So, I want you to know that mental health is a labor issue. I am Cathy Costello, the conservative, competent candidate for Commissioner of Labor, and I would be most grateful for your vote and support. God bless you, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Cathy. Thank you, Leslie. Great.